So, do you know what AI is? If someone asked you what AI is and the purpose it serves or could serve in your business, how would you answer? There are loads of perspectives out there on this and a lot of terms that are flying around with regard to AI and different versions of AI. And they can all do different things, and the way that we implement them can affect what it actually means for us. So if that confuses you, welcome to the club. That's why we're going to take another shot at talking about AI, how it's currently being implemented, and how it affects all of us. That's today on the Daily Dance.
Welcome to the Daily Dance with your host, Brad Richardson.
As you can see, we're sprucing up the studio here a little bit, so things have been moving around, but it is good to be with you again today. It's a Monday when this is being broadcast and recorded, so I hope you've made it through the day. Well, I've seen online a lot of flack that people get apparently when saying things like Happy Monday, so maybe I'll stop saying that. I've been one of those, but you're right. It isn't always Happy Monday. You're gearing up for the week, so maybe it's enough that you've faced Monday and you've gotten through it and you're ready for the rest of the week. Either way, I hope your Monday is going well. We'll go with that. Welcome again to the Daily Dance. We are talking about AI again today, and it's not beating a dead horse. There's so much to talk about with AI. I try to steer away from it. I could even talk about it more just because there's so much information that constantly goes out in so many different directions. But I did want to revisit because there are things that have come up that have made me realize how much I don't think we understand what we're saying when we say AI anymore. It has kind of become like Kleenex. It's just a term that covers a bunch of different brands and implementations, and there's so many different flavors. And so we're going to try to make heads or tails of that today. This is the Daily Dance, though, and it's meant to be encouragement and training, both. When we do our shows, it's trying to find you in the middle of your work day, in the middle of your life, and assuming that you are looking for ways to either elevate or survive and anything in between. And we need encouragement for that. So the encouragement part is our goofy little daily dance. It is goofy. It is dorky. It is silly. That's the point. The rule is you're supposed to do your dance every day before you leave the house, before you start your work day. Do a little dance, whatever works for you. If no one else can see you, if you're doing it where someone else can see you, bonus points. Hey, if you can do it at work and you can get your whole team doing it, again, bonus points, but please don't force anyone to do something like this. We don't need more of those things, but if you can get yourself to do it willingly, I guarantee it'll help give you an attitude adjustment. So where you are, standing, sitting, whatever you're doing right now, together, let's do our daily dance. All right, and there we go. So on to AI, the subject du jour of our era. And will the real AI please stand up? And the reason that I put this is because there are different flavors of AI out there, and I'm not going to pretend like I'm an expert on all of them. I simply want to point out that there are these different types of AI that are being referenced to when different people say things. So if the subject comes up at work, if it comes up when, I know, you're job hunting, you have vendors coming to you proposing solutions, it's important to realize that we've been using AI for a long time. Already there have been AI implementations, and I've mentioned these before because there are companies like Dialpad, and even within different platforms like Salesforce and Odoo. Uh, there are all these various implementations of AI. IBM has been implementing types of AI for a long time in the products, and the difference is that these are automations, and that's kind of where I want. I'm jumping ahead of myself, um, but we need to see these in the proper light, because these older ones are very effective because they're trained in a more narrow area of function. Okay, and when we talk about AI now, what people get excited about is moving toward um, artificial general intelligence, AGI. That's what people get excited about. And I get the feeling that a lot of people, when we're talking about our current implementations of AI, which is not artificial general intelligence, they are more specialized. And that's fine. They serve a great function, but one is not the same as the other. Okay. So we're going to look at that, and that's part of the proper framing. Okay. That's the proper framing, understanding what these different AIs are all about. Artificial general intelligence is like Jarvis, or more so. It is one that it really does more thinking, as opposed to just being trained on some highly intelligent but more specialized tasks, which is the AI implementations that we've mostly been seeing. Now, what hit that got everybody excited is generative AI. Okay, and that's where you can put information in and you do get more out of it. There is some logic going on. But in all of these AI implementations, even these older ones that have been around for years and years and years, there is logic being built into the system. There is logic that gets built into automations that we've been able to build for a long time. I've worked a lot within the Google Workspace uh, platform, and I've worked in different help desk systems and different platforms where you can build a lot of automations, and there's some intelligence. You're building intelligence in. And what these new levels of AI are supposed to be bringing us are just where you don't have to tell it as much. It can connect some dots more so on its own. Again, very useful, very useful. But I think it's helpful to think of those things more like advanced automations, right? Do you see that connection? Advanced automation, because otherwise, if we're talking AI and we're thinking Jarvis, but what we're really implementing are these more intelligent automations, these advanced automations, that can be a totally different discussion. How much money would you pour into a project that's going to get you Jarvis, as opposed to how much money are you going to pour into a project that's going to get you some more advanced automations that still involve a lot of work on your end to help those automations be intelligent and function properly, right? Um, and those kind of reflect on the realistic use cases then, because we could be asking and aiming for something that just doesn't quite exist yet, that we're not quite there. And frankly, so much of these automations, those are things we could have been doing all along anyway. Maybe it would have taken a little bit more work, but there had been a lot in the way of automations available to us on the software side of things that could automate and simplify our processes within companies, but we don't do it because we often don't have the data to do it. Okay. We don't have clean data, and we don't take the time, and we don't want to train because there is still some training going on. And it also means that within our departments, people are going to have to give up some of the ways that they've been doing things up to now. And all that's normal, right? That's all same. Anyone who's been working in IT for any amount of time, you've run into these things. We know it. But I'm concerned when I see people think it's really changing with as we move into this AI revolution. And we could get there to where it dramatically changes. Problem is, for most of what's being implemented on the AI side, all these other boxes still need to be checked. That hasn't changed. we still need to have clean data to put into our artificial intelligence automations. We still need to have good processes that we want to automate. And that's why I prefer to think of these things as advanced automations, because when you say it that way, you realize, oh, if it's making things automatic, the process that we're making automatic needs to be good. It needs to work. It needs to be the one that we want, and that's been optimized already, right? We first we optimize, and then we automate. So that's what I'm getting at, is that we still need to do a lot of the steps that we've always done to get the kind of results that we want, and that hasn't changed. So if you want to get on to more advanced AI usage and building out agents and that sort of thing, that can be good, but I think the use cases are very rare right now, very narrow, because of the technology that we have, and that we're just not quite to AGI yet. By the way, it's possible we may never get to AGI, that general intelligence. It's possible that we never get there. We can get close, maybe things that will look a lot more like that. And don't get me wrong, this is all becoming much more powerful and much more useful. It is, but it may not be what you think it is all that I'm saying. And we need to frame those things properly and have realistic use cases, so that we don't end up spending a lot of money on something that's not going to get us the results that we want. It could end up feeling exactly like all these other software projects that we've done before, where we invest all this time and money and effort, only to find out once again we still, we had multiple sources of data. They weren't in sync. We had variance in the data, so everything that we're getting back out of our system still isn't accurate, because no matter how good your AI is, if the data you're putting into it is conflicting and it isn't accurate, it can only know what you tell it. So all those things still apply, and we need to understand what it is that we're asking. Now, having said that, I'm still a fan of going ahead and implementing these smart tools. Okay, do it, but first make sure that your data is clean. Reduce the amount of data stores that you have. Don't have your data scattered over so many different systems. Remember, single source of truth used to be a nice buzzword around. Sometimes we still bring it up. We still want a single source of truth. We still do. It's necessary to be getting useful data. So you'll still need to do that. Then your processes, are they optimized? Have you documented all of the process within your business? And is it optimized? Are you happy with that process? And that is what you want to bake in to your software. See, Brad, that's all stuff we've discussed before. I'm sorry, I'm going to discuss it again. We're going to repeat it because it needs to be said, and it needs to be understood that these things still need to be done. And maybe people don't want to hear it, but let me tell you, you're not going to get good results out of all the money you're putting into these AI projects if you don't have clean data and you haven't optimized your processes. Okay, that needs to be done first. That has not changed. It's not going to change. In the end, you may have some intelligent systems, some AI systems that will go in and will try to make intelligent calls when you have data that's conflicting, right? Okay, but now you got to trust that AI to make the right call every time, because just like with automations, when you hand this off to an AI agent or some sort of enhanced automation, it becomes more invisible. Not more visible, it becomes less visible. Okay, now it's operating in the background, and over time you may forget. You don't have adequate documentation. Who knows that automation is running, and who knows what it's doing? You see the problem? Everything disappears into the system when we automate it. And the same thing happens with these AI agents. Okay, so you want to be successful, still do the basics. And I would say that even to because let me take a slightly different tack here. and talk about the fact that most of you are going to implement AI within your software as a service that you pay for and the different platforms that you pay for. They are coming out with AI agents and AI abilities within the platforms. Most already have it. And that's how you're going to use it. And that's a great way to use it. It's a great way to implement. There are some plugins and different companies that are developing, enhancing their products to operate primarily. They're leading with AI. That's great. That's 100% great. But then to use those systems and for those plugins and that software and those platforms to do their job well, you're still going to have good data for it to use. You can't have bad data and be unorganized and not have your documentation and then get upset when you hire a vendor's AI uh, platform, or you hire a new software as a service tool and it's AI enabled, and you're not getting good results simply because you didn't do your homework. No one wins in that scenario. You're going to blame them. It's not their fault. You're not going to get the results that you wanted as a company. And now you're out whatever money you spent for a tool you weren't ready to use. And that's why I'm so hyped about these things, because nobody wins in that scenario. Business does not get done better. People get frustrated, and then you're going to get burnt. And so many people, I think, that get suspicious of vendors. And sometimes, obviously, some vendors don't do their homework either. But a lot of the times, it's just companies that haven't been willing to do the disciplined work of getting everything in order within their company. And some of that is, you're just always going to have to do the old-fashioned way. Some of it you're always going to have to do the hard way. And that's not a bad thing, because then when you're going through your systems, process, and data yourself, that's where you catch the gaps and you see what really hasn't been working and what's been costing you money and time. And so that's a good thing. It's just hard. And the two can't be separate. If you can't understand that a good thing is sometimes the hard thing, that's a whole nother episode. That's a whole nother podcast. Okay. But sometimes the hard thing is the good thing. Sometimes it's the best thing. And we need to understand that. I hope that all makes sense. Yeah, I know I'm ranting a little bit, but this is important because don't you have a lot of info coming at you about artificial intelligence and the pressure to implement something with AI, because there's the fear that you're going to lose out on other companies gaining efficiency through the use of AI and you're not doing it. I understand it. I understand that. But if you really want to do that, then do your homework first. Get your data clean, get your processes documented, and make sure they're optimized, and away you go. Okay. And then one other thing to think about is, productivity versus replacement. And this is a conversation loads of others have been having online. I'm just going to throw in my 2 cents to say that I agree with those that are saying we need to be looking at AI as something that enhances productivity, not something that replaces people. Yes, it can replace some roles. We know that. But on the whole, it's just like computers. It's like technology that comes along all the time. Steve Jobs looked at the computer and said that's bicycle for the mind is the way that he wanted to view it. Something that you had gears that enabled you to do more with the input, right? It's just multiplying your input so that you get more output from your effort. And that's mostly what AI is in its best form, is that it will enable you to do more if we use it rightly, if we use it wisely. And it can do that. And that's exciting. We can do a whole lot more as companies, those who have big visions. It's going to be easier to attain now. And I think we need to view that versus replacement for 2 reasons. If you're in leadership and you're only viewing AI as something that's going to allow you to reduce headcount, I don't know, how's that going to go for you? You're going, and we've heard the stories of this happening. You're going to ask people to train up the AI agents that are going to replace them. And then you better hope that it actually works, because now you've alienated your workforce. If you've done this, and if you have to hire them back, well, a lot of goodwill's gone out the window then, hasn't it? So that's just not a good way to look at it. Um, if you're in leadership and you are hoping to reduce labor costs through implementing AI, may I suggest that you take your time with that? You can do that. You can do that. It may do that for you, but it's going to take longer to implement AI tools than you think anyway. And if you start to implement and you do it right, you go in a proper process and you're cleaning your data and you're documenting and all that first anyway, then through the normal course of events, as you lose people and people move on to other companies, all that, just don't backfill and let it take care of itself naturally. It will take longer, but you'll eventually see your savings, and your implementation will be better and smoother, and you won't kill and burn goodwill and kill your culture. And at the end of the day, I think you'll be way ahead of those that are trying to jump the gun and make a big splash and do everything all at once. And I understand that you've got shareholders to answer to, and you want that press clipping being able to announce big savings to help the stock price and all that. I understand that. I'm just saying that you'll pay for that in the end. You may get what you want short term, but long term, it's going to cost you. And it'll probably, my guess is it would cost you more than you got. So view it as productivity instead. Just understand it's going to allow you to get done. Again, if done properly, it can allow you to get done so many of the big projects you've wanted to do, but you've been afraid to commit the manpower to it. This could be your way to be able to do that, to be able to get enough done with the workforce that you have. And so then you don't have to compromise. So that's all important. And I want to come back then now and revisit though, the differences about AI again. Because everyone who's into AI and people that are into technology and it sounds and looks so cool, we want to make you believe it can do more than it can. I use AI agents myself, or not agents, but I use different AI platforms and go on and I work with them in a fairly basic way. And I have discussions back and forth and I figure out problems with them. And there are limitations. They still obviously can only do they can only know what they've been taught, what data is available to them. And so there's limitations and they see things wrong and there's gaps. It's not 100%. It's not like it's everything that you're going to get coming out of a discussion with an AI. Our current generation isn't always going to be right because it doesn't know what it doesn't know. And it's still not thinking on the level that we are, not in the same way. So instead of thinking of them that way again, not Jarvis. It's not Jarvis yet. It's more like iRobot. Okay, it's more like iRobot. Some of the if you've watched that movie, the robots operate on 3 laws principle. They're more. They can do a lot, but they're not functioning like individuals. They're very much servants, and do what they're made to do. And we're much more at that level right now. So if you go into building your systems and your projects, looking at things, understanding that these are advanced automations that are built in, and advanced, when I say advanced, it can be very advanced and very, very helpful when you're dealing with large data sets, trying to parse through all the data. We've seen loads of examples where it's hugely beneficial for operations within the financial segment. I know and have heard of there being great leaps and bounds made in progress and so much work being getting done with AI agents that it would have taken humans loads of time to do. And so there are use cases where this is great. So I want to be clear. Use AI. Absolutely. But understand what you're using, understand what it's good at right now, and leverage it for that. Don't get sucked into trying to get it to do something that it just can't do yet. Careful listening to the salesman. Okay. But for the things that it can do, organizationally, and again, sifting through a lot of data, um, advanced uh, advanced processes that you can plug in and have it make judgment calls if you want to on certain items, and the way that it can the way that it can I lost the word. The way that it can advance that sort of stuff is very good and very exciting, and it can be excellent. But it's still going to require discipline in implementing. It's going to require some common sense, and be careful of forgetting to ask the questions that you have to ask. If there's something that causes some skepticism in you, that's okay. Be a little bit skeptical and ask some hard questions. Ask your 5 or 6 why questions, or your how questions, as to how it's going to do this, and this. If it seems too good to be true, it might be. Or there are some very good AI products out there that can help you move your business ahead very quickly, but you've got to discern which is which. So, proper frame the whole AI race and all the AI hype that's going on, frame it properly. Okay. Find realistic use cases for the technology as we have it now. If you've got a use case that requires Jarvis, not there yet. So you might want to cool your jets on that, and then go back to the drawing board and see if maybe you're reaching a little too far, and that's okay. Just maybe do that in stages. Have a little less ambitious first stage that you're going to do that you can then build upon, and go from there. So realistic use cases and productivity versus replacement. Focus on the productivity that you can gain with the workers that you have, instead of focusing on, man, this will allow us to replace so many people. It might allow you to replace people in the end, but I don't think you're going to get there if that's your sole motivation. Increase the productivity. If you really do that, then over time, there will be a reduction in headcount, a proper reduction from the roles that you don't need anymore, on its own. And it will largely take care of itself. Allow your business to morph into one that is now utilizing these next generation of tools to allow everyone to operate more efficiently. And I think you'll be happy with the results when you do that. So, proper framing, realistic use cases, productivity versus replacement. Now, homework. Where do we get for homework? Organize and clean your data. Yeah, okay, go ahead and send me all the hate emails that you want. But that's the homework. Organize and clean your data. You want to be diving into AI and making use of all these things, then by all means do so. But you're going to have to organize and clean your data, guys. That's it. Dig in, get a plan, and talk to everybody. Please, include everyone who touches your data, who uses your data, all your end users. You've got to get people involved so that everybody knows what's going on, and help them understand the need to consolidate, to have one source of truth as much as possible. Because if you can get everything and do that project first, and you have one source of truth, how much easier is it going to be to leverage what AI tools can do? And I know you may want to use AI. Well, we're going to use AI, Brad, so that we don't have to worry about consolidating. We've got these 3 or 4 different data repositories. We got this data lake. We got this data warehouse. But hey, AI is going to let us bridge all that. AI is going to allow us to not have to go back and do the dirty work, clean everything up, because it's just going to take care of everything for us. Well, maybe. How are you going to know that what you're getting is accurate? How are you going to know that what you're getting is clean? How are you going to be able to tell that? I still think you're going to have to go in and do it yourself, then implement AI on top of that, and then you'll get a good result. So that's what I think. So there's my AI spiel. I've been watching the numbers, and I know I've seen people coming in, dropping off as they're watching. I get it. A lot of what I'm saying, a lot of the angle that I take, I know some people just aren't going to agree with, or some you may just think you've heard it all before and this is nothing new. maybe I challenge you to go back and watch the whole thing of everything that I've said and think about it and why I'm saying what I'm saying. It comes from a place of trying to do things in enterprise environments that will get the desired effect, something that will actually be effective. It's like you say, well, no, duh, that's what we're all trying to do. Really, are we? I think quite often we focus on efficiency first or being economical, and the effective part many times goes begging and comes as an afterthought. How do I know that? Because I've come in and I've seen the mess left from failed implementations, and we've all seen that. So we want things to be effective, and if you want things to be effective, there's some things that don't change. You still need to have clean data. You still want to have one source of truth, and you need to start there. And having that, so many other things become much easier. Now you've built a good foundation that you can build something really amazing on, and I think that's what we all want, right? So think about it. I understand there are differing opinions out there. I'd love to talk to anybody about it. If anyone has questions, thoughts, you love what I'm saying, you think I'm crazy, either way. I'm not surprised by any of it. But I am pretty convinced at this point that, if this whole uh, AI revolution, let's call it, if it's going to be successful, then more and more people are going to have to get in the mindset of realizing that we still have to do the basics first, and we have to run. Well, we have to run before we can walk. No, we have to walk before we can run before we can fly. One step at a time. And if we commit to that, though, here's the good news, because I know you want to move fast. Here's the good news: if you commit to that, you can get through all this much quicker than you think. And then in the end, when everything's clean, you got clean data, you've got refined processes, and now you're implementing AI automations. You're going to be able to move so fast that the velocity that you want to have will be there and at much less risk to you. And you save a lot of money too, because now you're not trying to compensate with loads of AI implementations. You are just implementing and paying for what you need done. And you're going to use less compute. It's going to be an easier lift, and it's going to be easier to track and document, and it's going to make way more sense. So there you go. I talked longer than I meant, but thank you for hanging in. For those that did, always appreciate you coming and watching our little show. And please let others know about it if it's at all beneficial. I know not every show is going to be beneficial to everyone, but I promise we will go through all kinds of things. And if we get feedback, I'm always happy to turn the ship into different directions to have discussions about things that matter to everyone. So, but yeah, there's no advertising budget. This is just my little dinky show. So if you do me the favor of sharing it with your friends, coworkers, bosses, your team, I would appreciate it, because it will give them a chance to tune in. And the more people that are involved in interacting, then the better the conversations are going to be, and the more pertinent, the more meaningful. So thank you so much. You can find us on Rumble and on LinkedIn. I do repost there, YouTube, and then on Locals and on X. But on Locals really is where I'd love to see everyone gather eventually. Maybe we'll get that going and get more of a community going there. I think that would be wonderful and very productive for everybody. So thanks again for joining us on the Daily Dance. It's always a pleasure to be able to chat with everyone for a little bit. And until next time, just keep on dancing.